welcome back to Wook Plus. I am Weekend Wook, joined by Kev the Great Went. Man, chat is lit tonight. I am very excited to see all you guys. Buddha, I hope we win your approval, but honestly, if not, that's fine too. Kev, what'd you think about tonight? Big picture. Where was
All
this
I
one for you?
all I can say about that second set is with 6 you get egg rolls.
I don't know what any of that means.
It's a movie. It's actually a movie. But anyway, way
Yeah.
off. But they were talking about egg rolls. I thought that really solid show. I'm going back and forth in my head against the Saturday Mondegreen. I said I wasn't going to bring them up, but similar
Yeah,
shows,
we're not even a minute in, and you're
right?
already doing it.
But similar shows. So that's going to be my my constant that I'm going to go against, thinking about it in the back of my head. Both had Yem encores. Was
Yeah,
it cool that they
they
did a Tweezer reprise, or was it cool that they went back into Yem and did a Yem reprise, or whatever you're going to call it?
the Yem Jam, yeah, the Coda Jam was sick. Um, I was telling T when we got off the member hang at set break that the first three sets of dicks were really good, but were kind of like baseline, and that they could go in two different directions. If that was the plateau, I think it was going to be a fairly disappointing run. But if they kept elevating from there, I thought it has a lot of potential to be one of the better, or an exceptional run. And I felt like the chalk dust and the whole second set kind of elevated. So we'll go through it
Mhm.
all, song by song like we always do. But spoiler alert, I think tonight was pretty fantastic. I'm a big fan.
I said at the set break, I thought the first set was better tonight than last night. You disagreed with me, but let's take a look at
Well,
it.
I don't know that I completely. No, I like tonight better too. Last night
Okay.
had higher highs, but the Sugar Shack and like the Ocelot, there were things that threw me off last night that we didn't have tonight. I thought tonight was fairly
Mm.
consistent all the way through. But they started things off with Back on the Train, which is becoming, you know, well, it's not becoming, but is a pretty decent way to start the show off, right? Gets things
Sets a
moving.
tone. Sets a tone that lets you know what we're getting tonight. It's going to be a little dance groove party we're working.
Yeah, exactly. A little train beat, little,
Mhm.
shaking your ass. Everybody's having a good time. Was that stat you were telling me about it being paired off with Wolfman's now 3 times in a row? Is that accurate?
Not 3 times in a row, 3 times this tour, or 3 times since the Sphere.
That's crazy, though. That's
Yeah, out
quite
of
the
six,
stat.
I think they've done six back on the trains in that time period. So three of them had a Wolfman. So it's become like if it becomes like a birth the greatest story thing with the Grateful Dead, I'm all for that. They can be separate, they can be played other places, but when they hang out together, they really work well together. Back on the Train sets up the groove for Wolfman's. Everybody's loose. Then we're going to get a little dirty or a little funkier.
No, you're exactly right. Loose, like Back on the Train is like the WD-40 in that situation. And then once everybody's all got their shit moving, then Wolfman's brings in the funk. I thought this Wolfman's jam. Well, all right. So I'm not a huge Wolfman's fan. I think some of them this tour have been pretty good, and I think this was another really solid one. Extra, super extra funky, really locked in. Trey kind or not Trey, Fish kind of messed up the beginning and was
Intro
a
in the
little
beginning, yeah.
yeah, but once he got in and like settled into the groove, he was locked in and he was a machine. So I don't know what was going on. Maybe it was like a technical thing or he just wasn't paying attention. But I thought it
Right.
was a decent. I think it was a decent Wolfman's.
Right, yeah, it had a little bit extra, and I feel like it's been a really consistent in 4.0. Every time they do it, it has an interesting jam. There isn't much variation from version to version, but it always has a really solid jam in it. This one went a little longer, and then they went into another funk tune, which I think funk is in how Fish does funk, but I thought that was a good call on Trey's part.
Yeah, Hey Strangers very much rising in stock for me. It's become like it was not a song that I was really hyped on when it first debuted, or I guess what it came out with Trey first, right?
Mhm.
and then with PHiSH, I didn't hate it, but I wasn't super high on it. But the last couple have been really solid. I liked the sci-fi like evolved bleeps and bloop, adjacent thing they started to do and introduce. I'm not sure. Somebody at Setbreak was telling me it was during Wolfman's that they started introducing that. I thought it was during Hey Stranger. I think it might have gone as a through line between these two, but I was very much enjoying these couple of songs in the beginning of this set. And then Guelah, I gotta tell you, I forget or forgot how much I like Guelah, and that's a weird thing to say because it's like one of like those like you know staple songs, but it's just not a song I think about that often. Like I think about the dance, right? Like you think about like the obvious shit, but like I actually really like the composition of it a lot too. Like I think it's a great song. I don't know. It's a weird. It was a riding below the radar for me.
I come for the goofy lyrics, stay for the floor show.
Yeah.
I love Guelah. I wanted it. Somebody pointed that out earlier. I've been talking about it. Good for them. I think Trey learned a lesson having the platform he's standing on now that you can't make it back to the mic to sing and do the dance off the platform. It's one or the other.
Yeah, that's funny. He has to get used to the whole new setup. You know what's funny too is I've caught several Gulas and it's still not something that's front of mind,
Right.
It's
Last
weird.
one was 22. So it's been since Bethel in 22.
I was at that show. That was one of the ones I saw. Oh, dude, this No Man's was fun. I think that this yeah, this kind of injected a lot of energy back into the set. Gula was, a fun, like, goofy song, but I think with all the jams with Wolfman's and Hey Stranger, we took a little bit of a pause going into the silliness with Gula, and then No Man's brought us right back into it, which is a great way
Mhm.
to like keep your first set with these like 10 to 15-minute jams. Is perfect.
Right. A lot different. I mean, when the placement of it, it's usually in the second set, middle of the first set. It was short, but it was stout. It was like, I'm gonna kick some butt. And yeah, I liked it there. I thought it was a great mid set jam vehicle there with what people call micro jams, but what would be a normal jam at some at other times.
Right. In the before times, it was a nice size jam. Some cool shit going on. What'd you think about the Steam?
I thought it was gonna go to Tweezer Reprise. I thought it
Yeah.
had a really interesting jam. I have to pay more attention to it. I tend to click off when they start playing it. I don't know why. It just doesn't hold my attention.
Yeah, I have a weird relationship with Steam. At one point, it was one of my favorite like new songs. It's also been like a new song for like a decade, which is weird because I think they debuted it so far before it was released on the album that it's just always kind of been in that like new song category. But like at one point, it was like one of my favorites. At one point, it was like my least favorite. I'm fairly indifferent to it as a song right now. I mean, it's fine, but it does have a decent batting average of getting some interesting jams out of it. I thought the jam was super, uh, you know, I don't know about super, but it was good. I liked it. It was a very
It was fun.
intriguing jam. I didn't quite get the
I
tweezer vibes you were talking about. I mean, I guess I could see that, but I
it was
enjoyed it though for
building.
sure.
It was a building thing.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
it
exactly.
felt like
Built up
it
some
was
momentum to
going
it.
some and it's just interesting to me because last night it was Ocelot, another song that I kind of just click off when they're playing, doing the lyrics to, my brain just clicks off. And that had a really interesting, creepy little jam in it last night.
I really liked the
So,
Outside jam, actually. Yeah.
right. Evolve
Well,
is
speaking of clicking off, that's what I did during Evolve.
people like Evolve, man.
People
Evolve is
do like
big. My
Evolve.
my question to everyone is, if you're driving down the road and you just heard a random song on the radio called Evolve, it wasn't Fish, it was just any band playing that song exactly the way they play it, would you even stay on the radio station or would you click off to the next station?
I don't even stay on the radio station when Fish does it. Uh, so we get accused of being hypercritical here, but I just want to explain my personal feelings on it, like my opinion, and it's just my opinion. If you disagree with me, that's fine, like whatever.
Yeah.
But like I very much lock into groove and chord progression first. Like we've talked about this, right? Like you lock into lyrics a
Mm,
lot of times and like vocals. I
mm,
have to listen to a song like 5, 6, 7 times before I even notice that someone's singing. But the chord progression and the groove of Evolve is so basic. It is so simple. And it might be, and listen, I'm not like this savant theory guy. Like it might be one
mm,
of those things that's complex but done so well that it sounds
right.
simple. You know how people talk about like the
You
Beatles
never know.
sound simple, but it was really complex. It might be that, I don't know. But to my ear, it's just this very boring, simple, like
Mm,
boring song. So yeah, I'm sure like it's fun and some people really
top
like the
rope
lyrics, but for
stuff
me,
here.
it's just boring.
Top rope, huh?
You got to tell me to stop that when I start going down that path. You're like, yo, just chill out, man. Some people like that shit.
I mean, I wouldn't go that far again. It's funny that we've gotten into I'm clicking off for all these songs in a row, and then Strange Design, another one that people love. I'm so glad Paige got a song to sing finally because he hasn't. None at
I love
Mondegreen, none
Strange
last
Design.
night. He sang half a rift at
Yeah.
Mondegreen, but that's the only thing that jumps out. Strange Design is cool. It's just, I guess it has a lot of emotional baggage with it from
Right,
Coventry.
good and bad. It definitely tickles my heartstrings, and I don't even know why. I couldn't give you a direct explanation or logic to it, but it just makes me feel fuzzy. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like I don't know what the right word is, but like there is some connection with it, and it's not long enough to piss, like to be a problem
No,
anyway.
you
It's
can't even
perfect
make it to the
length for it.
bathroom. You needed Strange Design to make it to the bathroom if you left at the beginning of Evolve. So Trey was looking out for you.
Yeah. No,
All right,
I'm a
Antelope. We
fan of
got our
Strange.
Antelope.
Yeah,
You
and I
know,
thought it was okay. It's kind of like waiting to do the interview, and you're like everybody builds it up, right? That without having Antelope at Mondegreen and and the holding. I mean, it wasn't really held out, but like people are like building it up. It's a fairly serviceable. Is that the word? I don't know. It was
yes,
good.
yes.
I'll tell you what though, way better than Blaze On or Everything's Right to close out a set. I mean, it's definitely the best way to close out a set, but
I had a thought about this being 10 minutes. We were talking about Everything's Right, Blaze on all these songs that fall into that. Ghost, when it closes the set, will be 10, 11 minutes. The thing about Antelope that's so cool is it just starts with just a jam and it just
yeah.
builds and builds and builds and builds and builds. And then you get 2 lines of lyrics at the end and you're out of there, as opposed to Everything's Right that you have to sit through a whole song to hear a cool jam before you're out of there. That was my whole just salt with it tonight. And
Oh, no,
I'm not,
well, that you could say that about a lot of the modern songs is like they all have phenomenal jams or capability to be jammed, but then you have to listen to a whole Ruby Waves or Mercury or Everything's Right or Wave of Hope,
spoiler
all
alert though,
like that.
second set had a really fun Everything's Right there. So
Yeah.
let's do some housekeeping.
All right. Well, we have 2 more shows. We will be doing member hangs at Set Break. If you haven't joined yet, now is a great time to do it. And we'll be continuing to do the after show 15 minutes after Encore. Then starting next week, we are getting back to our regular scheduled programming with Tuesdays being Wook Club, Wednesday nights going back to Live, and then Fridays we'll keep the member hangs going. Panels and Frames, the pop culture show we had, it now has its own channels. So if you're looking for that, stay tuned. We'll make some announcements, but that is isolated onto its own channel now.
Mm.
And Fishtails will be coming back in a couple weeks.
Maybe there'll
We
be a
have
Mondegreen
4 more
episode.
episodes of that. So look
Five
forward to
more.
that.
Five
What's
more.
that? 4 more.
5 more. 4 more.
4 more.
Mondegreen.
Yeah, that's the 4th one, right?
Oh, that's the fourth one.
Festival 8, Super Bowl, Magna Ball, and Mondegreen.
Right. I
I'm
just
not
want to
doing a
make.
curveball
There's
episode.
there's an imaginary festival running around in my head for fish because I always think there's like one more that happens somewhere.
Oh, all right. And let me give one more disclaimer. I wanted to give this. It's 2:30 in the morning. Uh, we might be a little bit extra critical on the Dick shows. Sorry, I don't know what to tell you.
And
It's
we're
fucking the
on the
middle of the night.
couch, and we're on the couch, so
Yeah,
it's
just
a
I'm
whole different
tired. I'm a little
experience.
tired. I'm not gonna lie.
Right. I tell you what, if I was there tonight, I would have been tweeting, "This is the greatest PHiSH show ever," and people would have been pooping on me for that on Twitter. So,
So I do think the second set in the show still, even through my exhaustion and tiredness, still resonated. Like especially the second set. I really liked it, but just want
right.
to, just want to put that out there.
I,
Like,
I think
listen, I'm
Chalk
tired.
Dust, Chalk Dust is going to be song
Uh,
of the year after the
by
Mexico
far.
version and this one. I mean,
There's been
wow.
3 phenomenal Chalk Dust this year that are like, jam chart level for sure.
Right. Did the whole song proper, nothing special. You're like, all right, what are we going to get? Immediate left turn into some dark areas and just never left it. They never really circled around to the bliss side of everything for a good 18 minutes. It was beautiful to my ears.
Yeah, I love how deep into the type 2 they went and how quickly it did it. I like to I got to come up with a name for this bleep and bloop adjacent like synthy EDM thing they've been doing, like this next generation of it. But it was very prominent in the Chalk
Well,
Dust Jam.
what was Paige's name for Sci-Fi Soldiers?
I have the comic book around here somewhere. I'll have to look that up.
We can call it that jam, whatever that name is.
Yeah. And then well, but then to come off of that, so they're super deep type 2, they do the synthy thing, and then they end up somehow in this very melodic, like blissful major climaxy jam to end it, which after the 20 subsequent minutes leading into it, it was just a perfect place to land and kind of give you a little goosies. It was like, okay, I got a little more energy now. Way to go, guys.
And big finish, just like gave it
Huge.
everything. It was beautiful, fantastic.
Yeah, and then going into sand right after everything they just delivered was a nice choice. I think the sand kind of delivered really well. Um, I really like the low key section of it, and I'm not always a huge fan of the bringing it down part, right? Where they're in the crazy jam, they kind of deconstruct it, they bring it down, and then build it back up. Like it's kind of become a trope in some ways, like a musical trope. But
Mhm.
I thought it worked really, really well in this sand because it was so interesting. Like it was low key, but everyone was doing something really intricate and interesting that held your attention, just not like blaring in your face until eventually
Mike,
bringing it back type 1 and ripping the shit out of it.
right, Mike was being a greedy man. He was just all over that low end. I was
Yeah.
like, wow, dude. And maybe it's just I feel like the sound is really dialed in for Dix. You can
Yeah.
hear everything. Page could be a little louder, maybe, but when Page takes a solo, it shines, and you can, it breaks through the wall. But that could be maybe Page isn't being aggressive enough. Who knows? But
Well, I
great
think
job with
Mike
the sand.
has been sounding really, really good. And he definitely led this sand jam because when he brought it back type 1 and brought it back to the ostinato was really controlled the flow of the jam. And he's not always the leader of the jams, right? Usually it's Trey and PHiSH that, and well, I mean, it's they all do it, but like more times than not, Trey and
Mhm,
PHiSH are the one that are like guiding it. But I felt like Mike did a lot of work on that sand.
mhm. Ruby Waves got its sea legs back, man. After the one at Mondegreen and this one, we were talking. Well, I had written it off. I was like, "Wave of Hope." We got all these pillow jets. We got these songs coming up, and Trey was like, "No, no, no, no. We still have some juice left in Ruby Waves." And I'm not even going to go into the song part. Let's just jump to the jam. It felt like the first 2 or 3 minutes he went back to the theme, and I was like, really? Okay, they're gonna pull it, they're gonna end it. It's just gonna be another 10-minute Ruby Waves. We're back to that. But no, he started soloing over it, and then it just took off and blossomed for that last 12 minutes.
Yeah, it's pretty epic. I've graduated Ruby Waves for a while now, actually. It's a weird aside, but since you were talking about writing it off, it's in like the jam vehicle Mount Rushmore now. in my mind,
Mhm.
up there with like Tweezer and Down with Disease and I guess
Sad
Ghost and
emoji.
Simple. Like it's had such a consistent. I mean, there's been a handful of ones that haven't got there, but
Recently,
way,
yeah,
way more often than
earlier
not,
this
it
year.
delivers.
Right, earlier this year, there were a couple shorter ones, but
Well, the
the
New
last
Year's
2,
one was
they
fucking weird. It was super short,
right.
but
I think the
more
one they
times than
did in
not, though, it
Mexico
delivers.
right, the one in Mexico was kinda short, I think, because it was after they had done, I think, the Wave of Hope night. I think it
Yeah.
fell into that same sets
Wave
that
of Hope is
probably
another one, but I think Ruby Waves has a longer track. Like, I think a couple of years from
right,
now, if Ruby
well
Waves continues, I mean, if
mm,
Wave of Hope continues, it'll be at that same level. But Ruby Waves has been doing it pretty much since it's come out.
mhm.
But
Brilliant landing.
uh I loved it tonight. I thought it got dirty too, which it
Mhm.
got that like that skank face, like that, like, that little extra oomph to it, which I always really appreciate in a jam. So much so that it went into What's the Use. And What's the Use works when it works. When it works really well. It doesn't always, you can't always just throw it in anywhere, right? You need that dirty, epic monster jam
Right.
and grab everyone's attention. And once everybody's locked in and like there, then you could do What's the Use. And I felt like tonight was perfectly appropriate.
I feel like Trey has really been nailing this part of the set list after
Yeah.
the big jam, what we're gonna land in. It's like the what's the use and the sense and subtle sounds, and
Oh,
there
dude,
are
that Sands
others
was
that,
so
that we
good.
can, but he's really good about that. Then they did Possum.
Yeah, they did.
Um,
They did Poss they did Possum a song too early. I think Possum is a better ending than Everything's Right, but they did it too early. If they did something else, a micro jam of sorts, a 10, 15-minute jam, and then Possum, I think it would have really finished the set a lot
right,
stronger.
if you were there, it's almost like they fired the set back up after what's the use with Possum. I can just
Yeah.
see like the energy just completely blowing when they first go into it there. So in the
Where it
moment, I
makes
guess
sense, you need
there,
that out of What's the
right,
Use.
right. And then we got, and we've been talking poop about everything's right, talking poop about songs being 10 minutes to close the sets. And there they go with 17 minutes and probably the most interesting everything's right this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about that. Maybe. I mean, I never love the song. I usually like the jam, and I never like the climax. I think it works really well in person. I think it's a little bit chintzy in my opinion, but the
It
jams
got way
are
almondy. It got almondy, like real
well
almondy.
in the jam, and so did the Everything's Right at Mondegreen and the one before that. I think the jams really fuck. Like, I'm sorry. I think we're far enough into the show that I can
Right.
say that without getting
The jams
uh
make it. The jams
yeah, I
make it.
think you're not supposed to curse in the first 5 minutes according to YouTube. No, like, and this is just my opinion. The jams are very good. I always love the jams on Everything's Right. I'm just not crazy about the beginning and the very end, in my opinion. But
I like the end.
you
That's
do?
probably my favorite part of the song is when they drop back into the na-nas because
You
it's
like
very
that?
Beatlesque. Yeah, it's very Beatlesque and fun. And I always say any song that has doo-doos or na-nas in it, I'm on board with.
No, I mean
It's
that's
just
good.
such
That
a pop
honestly, that makes
songy
me
thing.
happy. Like, I'm glad it works for people. And like, I don't know if I said this or I was gonna say this. I think when you're in person, that kind of thing works a lot better. I think through the
Like
webcam, like
Possum.
through the computer, it's not as effective. Yeah. Did you say something? I was talking
No,
through that.
I did muted. All right, so we
Oh,
got the fee. Now this is where it gets sticky for me. Let's talk about. I think this encore was better than the Yem encore the other night at a place that will not be
yeah.
named because they busted out the fee and we got the megaphone and then. Sorry, if you want to say something about the fee, let me just say something about the Yem. Like I said, we got a Yem Tweezer reprise. This had a Yem back into it with that jam, and I feel like Yem finally has become whole. with what they did tonight.
Yeah, I don't remember exact shows or dates, but there was a period recently where they were coming back out of the vocal jam and jamming it, and I was just instant in love with it. It felt like a renaissance for Yem, which is always special, but everybody catches. If you see Fish on a even somewhat regular basis, a couple shows a year, 1, 2 shows a year, you probably have you've seen a bunch of, you know what I mean? Like, it's just they played so often, and I felt like it got really special again, right, in the last couple of years doing that. I thought that going into it in the Encore, exactly like they did 3 shows ago, there was that initial like, we're getting back to just the run of the mill, just using it the same way. But then to bring back the post jam, I don't know if I'm saying that right, was perfect and
Right,
kept it
I think this
special.
one had extra, had a few minutes extra in it too. I think Trey took it out there a little bit before they dropped into the drum bass part.
Yeah.
So overall, excellent show. I'm interested. I'm gonna kick back for a few days, see how Fishnet ranks, how the rankings go on there, because that Mondegreen show shot up to number 2, and it's
That
dropped
always
down a little
happens.
bit since then. Right. So I'm interested to see where this one falls in maybe a month after people get in there and
Listen, I think this is right in line with summer 24, right? I don't think it's the best show of the summer, but it's by far not the worst. And all of the shows this summer have been exceptional. Even the worst shows this summer, I think, have been really, really good. I think this is better than night one, in my opinion, right?
Mm,
So they have a good momentum, a good trajectory. I'm excited about tomorrow night. We'll see
mm.
how tired we are night 3 and night
You-
4. We might be peeling ourselves off the
all
ground
right.
to do this, but
Here's my question before we go. Do you think that we will get a Saturday night jukebox greatest hits show and get a bunch of short songs? Because I feel like they haven't been doing that for a while this tour. The first sets have all been 6, 7 songs, you know?
yeah. I think we're gonna get a rocker. It's gonna be a ripping show. I don't know that it's gonna be a jukebox quick hit, but I do think it's not gonna be super funky or dancey. I think it's gonna be a lot of ripping, a lot of like a 46 days in a fuego and just like big power
They
rocky
can't do
Fish tomorrow.
Fuego again.
Of course
People
we
had a
are.
heart attacks the last time. They should do
Yeah, like,
fire.
well, like
They
exactly
should
like a
do
Who
fire.
song or like Stones, like a Loving Cup or like rock and roll. Yeah, I feel like tomorrow's gonna be a big rocky show, and it'll be fun.
Right.
We're gonna have a good time tomorrow.
We are.
All
You
right,
know where to
guys.
find us.
Like, subscribe, let us know in the comments what you thought about tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow. Later.